The Oklahoma Sooners have some big time commitments coming up over the next couple of weeks. And I say commitments in upcoming scheduled commits from a couple players that Oklahoma's on the outside potentially looking in. And we got to talk about who the Sooners could potentially land and add to this class for the 2024 recruiting cycle. But guys, before we do that, go ahead, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Where do you guys think the Oklahoma Sooners class will end up at the end of the 2024 cycle? So currently, the Oklahoma Sooners are sitting at number 34 overall in the 247 composite rankings with 11 commits and only one player in the top 100 being Zion Kearney out of Hightower High School in Missouri City, Texas, the 6'2", 200-pound speedy athletic wide receiver. That's Oklahoma's only top 100 player so far. But there is a lot of expected commitments potentially coming up that Oklahoma fans potentially feel good about, and some that you look like you're on the outside looking in. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, because the first one that I think a lot of people are definitely going to be paying attention to is going to be the four-star defensive lineman Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, the 6'4", 225-pound defensive lineman out of Oak Ridge High School in Conroe, Texas. He announced today that he will be announcing his decision on July 6th. That is tomorrow. That is going to be a Thursday. Wait, today's Thursday. Thursday? Yeah, it's going to be tomorrow, Thursday, July 6th at 9 p.m. And if you go to 247 and you really look at the crystal balls here, you see Steve Wiltfong has put in a crystal ball for Georgia. You've seen ones from Kip Adams. But previously, Joseph Jonah-Ajonye has held crystal balls from Oklahoma guys. Now, here's the deal. Joseph Jonah-Ajonye has been trending in the Georgia direction. But one thing you've noticed with Joseph Jonah-Ajonye is when he goes to a school, it seems like he really likes the school. He likes the visit, and it's kind of hard to get a read exactly where he wants to go, which, I mean, 100% props on his part. It's a guy that we've had here on the podcast, really great dude. He's keeping that recruitment, it seems like, tight to the vest if that's the case. So ultimately, Oklahoma Sooners are going to be in a battle with Georgia in this one. I think the Georgia Bulldogs are ultimately going to come out on top for Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, because then it positions them well to be able to go out there and make a pitch to the five-star linebacker Justin Williams, who plays alongside Joseph Jonah-Ajonye. Well, and Joseph Jonah-Ajonye could potentially be a five-star defensive lineman when it's all said and done, because Joseph Jonah-Ajonye is just that talented. And we're not going to dive too much into the intangibles, into the stats, because we've done that before. And you know what? We can do that again in a later video when he ends up committing somewhere. But Joseph Jonah-Ajonye is a guy that for Georgia or Oklahoma, he's going to be able to come in with his big frame and the ability to come in and stabilize a defensive line or a young defensive line with a lot of that strength that he has and that size. So Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, July 6th, 9 p.m. I think he'll be a Georgia Bulldog. It's an Oklahoma-Georgia race, but Georgia, I think, definitely has the upper hand in this recruitment as it currently sits. But then you move to July 8th, and Oklahoma definitely is in position for two guys on July 8th. One being Marquis Easley, a four-star offensive tackle, 6'5.5", 335 pounds, out of Kanaki, Illinois. Currently crystal balled by Steve Wiltfong to end up at Georgia. And this is a battle. If you're Oklahoma, you're fighting the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Tennessees for this kid. And when you look at what Marquis Easley can do, probably being a true freshman, Marquis Easley is going to be able to be a starter. He's going to be able to guy that can be an impact. He's got strength. He's got size. He's got the hand skills. He's got the ability to move his feet and shuffle those a little bit. He's a multi-sport athlete. He plays basketball. So Marquis Easley is another one on July 8th that you definitely need to be paying attention to see if maybe where he ultimately ends up landing. But like I said, Steve Wiltfong and those guys, they have their crystal balls submitted for Georgia. So it looks like maybe that recruitment shifting in that favor. But you start to get into, Oklahoma now, right? You know, we got to look at a recruitment that Oklahoma feels like they're potentially looking good at. And that's going to be the five-star tight end Devon Mitchell in the 2025 class. Now, by no shortcoming, Devon Mitchell has been kind of talking about reclassifying, and that's kind of been thrown out there a lot. And if you're Oklahoma, you're primarily in a race for Devon Mitchell with two teams. The Miami Hurricanes, who it appears have offered Devon Mitchell a bag, an NIL deal to come play for them. But then you've also got Alabama, who Devon Mitchell has ties at Alabama, whether living out there, mother out there, but his father lives with him. And you feel like Oklahoma is in a really good position for Devon Mitchell. And you felt like that for a while because Devon Mitchell's former teammates, Michael Hawkins, is currently a part of the Oklahoma Sooners. You feel like Oklahoma's positioning themselves well for Zena Azulu. So who knows? But ultimately on July 8th, we're going to find out exactly where Devon Mitchell's head's at. And I imagine not too soon after that, not too long after that, we will hear of a reclassification post or news from Devon Mitchell and his family that he will be in the 2024 class. So pay attention there. Oklahoma's in a position to potentially win a 5-star tight end. And I don't know when the last time that happened. But then you move on to July 12th. And you've got the 4-star inside offensive lineman, Casey Poe, at 6'4.5", 290 pounds, out of Lindell, Texas. Hey, you're in the battle with, again, another set of elite schools, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and, well, Texas Tech. I got to throw them in there because Texas Tech has been in this recruitment from the start. But ultimately, it looks like Alabama probably is going to come out on top here. Remember, guys, we've had Casey Poe on a couple times, and Casey Poe has relations, has a history with Alabama. I believe it was with his grandfather that played for Bear Bryant. And so now you get an opportunity to continue the family legacy under playing under another great Alabama head coach. It's definitely intriguing and appealing to Casey Poe. And definitely all of these schools on his list, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, all of them produce great offensive linemen. You're going to get developed at any one of those schools. Now, the question is, are you going to be able to start? And I want Oklahoma fans to think about this for a second. When you look at these elite offensive linemen and why they might not be choosing Oklahoma this year, and it might not be because Oklahoma's pitch isn't good. I don't think that's why. I think ultimately it's because you look at how young the depth chart is on the offensive line for Oklahoma, and it's hard for a lot of these kids to see themselves as starters within the first 2 years at the University of Oklahoma with this young lineup, because you're going to have to go out there and beat some of this top 150 talent that Oklahoma's already got out there, like the Caden Greens, like a Jacob Sexton or some of those guys. So definitely for Oklahoma, you don't feel great right now on the offensive line. And if you lose Casey Poe, that one sucks because that's one you thought for a while you thought you would win. But right now it seems like it's trending to Alabama. But you never know. Maybe Bill Beatonbow and those guys, they can have gotten one last pitch in there. And maybe, just maybe they could pull out a Sooner win on the recruiting trail and land the 4-star offensive lineman and really maybe try to gain some traction on the offensive side of the ball with Michael Hawkins, especially on the offensive line. But then you've got Taylor Tatum. Now, there's not an official date set up for Taylor Tatum yet, but everybody's kind of sitting here and they're watching, okay, when is the date? When is Taylor Tatum going to make this announcement? Because the 5-star 247 composite running back and the number 1 running back in the 2024 class and is looking at Oklahoma. When was the last time Oklahoma had this high of a running back recruit look at them in serious consideration? Yeah, you're battling USC and Lincoln Riley and their baseball program out there. But it seems like Skip Johnson really hit it out of the park with Taylor Tatum. And then the Oklahoma football staff came behind and cleaned up and was really able to sell to Taylor Tatum the idea of what it's like to play at the University of Oklahoma, either in baseball or football, and really be able to try to take yourself to the next level in either one of those sports. And so with Taylor Tatum, I think it's kind of just one of those things where we're going to have to wait day by day, and it could really just drop at any time. But Taylor Tatum is an elite prospect, not only in the state of Texas, but in the just country as well, and being the number 1 running back potentially coming to the University of Oklahoma, where you could have a lineup of Caden Durham, Taylor Tatum, and Xavier Robinson. DeMarco Murray really is just having his way on the recruiting trail with the running back. So you've got to like where Oklahoma is at in this one as well. I think Oklahoma is going to end up landing Taylor Tatum. It's just a matter of time of when this commitment will actually drop. But guys, I want to hear from you. Go ahead, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What do you guys think about this 2024 class for the University of Oklahoma? Do you agree with some of my picks, and do you think that these kids will come to Oklahoma or go to other schools?